Welcome back. I hope you're having a good start to the week, and I hope you had a great weekend. Jim Coyle with you as always here at Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our good friends from the Wow Club, Endeavor Hospitality, and Andy Moore Honda. Bubba's 33. If you're ever down in the southern Indiana area, right off of I-65, Clarksville, pizza, burgers, beer. Man, need to get in there and stop by. That's a great place to watch a game now. They've got 51 TVs in there, I think, from what I've counted. That's got you covered. Join now, of course, Jim Reamer with us from Courtside, Indiana, but Kyler Staley from thehoosier.com, who was also in checking out this weekend's recruiting action that was basically nonstop. Now it comes down to visits, lots of visits coming up. We need a calendar just showing the visits that are coming, because they're coming hot and heavy. I think that at the start of the show, we just talked about something we already knew, but who was it that's coming?
So we've got three big visits this week regarding the 2023 class. Today, Jamie Kaiser will be on campus. He'll be here for a couple of days. On Wednesday, Arden Page comes in. Again, we'll be there for a few days. And then the last one of the week will be Deshaun Harris-Smith, which will be Thursday. So those two might kind of overlap with one another, but it's three of the five guys, I should say, in the 2023 class that Indiana's kind of prioritizing right now.
If Indiana could get those three guys, they would be in hog heaven to go with what they already have, with what they already have coming in, and with what they would have coming back. This would put Indiana in this class alone, added to what they have. It would be probably a top 7, potentially top 5 class. And they would just be right where they want to be going in to the following season. And not saying that they're going to land all three of those. I think it's very possible that they do, because they have a need for all three of them. Yeah, big visits.
No, yeah, and I honestly, when I look at just those three in particular, I see no reason why they can't land at least 2 out of the 3. Now, the reason why it might be an either or with Jamie Kaiser or Harris Smith, they're kind of similar in a way. Both can kind of score off the wing, more bigger wings. Page, obviously, he's a big man in the post, so he's not really competing for minutes with those guys and stuff. But it would just be another playmaker at the wing position, where Woodson can give that guy the ball and he can go out there and make a play, which he's trying to get that more out of his wings. And then, of course, you've got Arden Page, which they've been on since, the start of the live period and everything. So it's big to get him on a visit. But this is probably one of the biggest, official visit weeks that Indiana's had since Woodson, took over.
But how important is this week, and how are they going to sell those three guys if they need all three of them together?
I mean, they just need a need for all of them. Like I just mentioned, like the wing position, that's been a big topic since Woodson took over. He wants more playmakers on the floor. He wants guys that can go one-on-one. He also wants shooting, which, Jamie Kaiser can. He provides that. He's a great shooter with great range. Another guy that they're trying to get to take a visit is TJ Power. Who also just announced that he's going on visits to North
lost Kyler.
North Carolina, and probably Duke. There we go. He's back.
There's Kyler,
but he's still muted,
Audio.
So he's got to unmute himself. You'll have to unmute yourself. But I'm sure you were talking about North Carolina and Duke. If you can still hear me, we can't hear you, but we'll let you know when we can.
Go ahead and drop out and come back in.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
No, we can hear you.
Tyler. You got it.
There you go.
Tyler, you got it.
You're good.
It's a nightmare.
So, yeah, I know. So North Carolina.
So we got TJ Power going to see North Carolina and Duke. I'm not entirely sure what those dates are, but that's another guy that Indiana is really trying to work on getting a visit, an official visit soon. That'll obviously have to probably be a senior year visit. if they can get him on campus, for a game or whatever. But that's another guy that they're really prioritizing. And then, of course, you got Xavier Booker, who kind of rounds out that top 5 in the 2023 class that they're kind of looking at. He's a guy that's visited multiple times, but they were in Milwaukee. They saw him play one time, I believe, Woodson and I think it was Walsh that was there. They saw him play. So those are kind of the 5 guys right now that Indiana's really prioritizing. If they can land 3 out of those 5, I mean, they're set.
Yeah, I would say that more, Jim. You've seen a lot of these guys play, and you know the importance that they would have to in Indiana offense under Mike Woodson, especially. These are the players that Mike Woodson wants. These are the types of players that Mike Woodson really covets, and you can see in his recruiting. His recruiting is pretty consistent, or it's been very consistent on who they are after, the types of players they are after. Very athletic guys that can score and shoot, period. That's it. I mean, it's pretty simple.
I think the problem you get, and it's not really a problem. It's something you've got to make sure you pay attention to, is when you recruit a bunch of guys that kind of play the same position, like we're talking about with Kaiser and Harris Smith, and they've already have Ja'Kai Newton, who's already committed. You look at a situation where if they have complementary skill sets, well, if they all can shoot, then who cares? But if you have complementary skill sets, then you can play anybody together. If you have the requisite skill sets too, like, you can, I've got a 6'5" wing who I play at the point often, or he's our primary point guard often. And my starting point guard is an excellent shooter. So there's a ton of times both my point guards are excellent shooters. So there's a lot of times where we initiate the offense from the wing with him bringing it up so we can bring those other guys off early screens in the offense. The other issue there too is size. Kaiser checks in at 6'6", or at least he's listed at 6'6". That's a situation where he could probably play. You could play him with other people. CJ Gunn at 6'5" is probably on the shorter end of what you would want to be like a third guard, perhaps. But then if you've got good size up front, you can compensate this, the lack of size on the backcourt. If you're playing what you would consider to be 3 guards, you look at a situation they could land a Kwame Evans, who's more like 6'7", 6'8". Now you're talking a little bit more prototypical. Sometimes you can get too small if you start throwing out a bunch of perimeter players who even if they are bigger, even if they're a decent size for wings, you just hope that Indiana doesn't get small at each spot. That's the only problem with not big man hunting a little bit, which I wish they would do a little more of.
That's the one thing that they I can't say that they haven't, but with Xavier Booker, but they've kind of backed off of him. They've got Malik Renaud, and I think that they like his play. I've heard he's playing really, really well, to be honest with you. Surprisingly well in the summer play. And you bring in an Arrington Page if you can get him. I know it's you've got Purdue and how they attack things with their 7-footers or whatever. That's not going to be Indiana. That's not going to be Mike Woodson. I don't think that that's going to be his offense, because I don't think he necessarily wants a 7-foot guy in there unless it's a Chet Holmgren. But I you know what I'm saying? I don't think he wants a Yao Ming 2 there like Purdue has. I think that's going to be fine for some games, but that's not going to allow you to. I think other teams can make you play at their mercy when you are so set like a team like Purdue would be in that situation. I'm not knocking Purdue per se, but
it can be. I've got a 6'10" kid who I think is an excellent defender, but he does struggle against smaller kids. So and by smaller I mean if he has to guard like we
the 6'8" guy.
No, I'm talking like a 6'6" kid who's skilled, and not a lot of teams. Not every team has that one or two guys that they can put out there that are big like that. So sometimes we have some matchup issues with him, and that forces us to go a little bit smaller, especially if we don't have control of the game. And it's not like, and for us, we didn't solve our second big man issue. I'm not saying that they're comparable to Trace Jackson and Race in terms of talent necessarily, but in terms of how we use them, it would have been nice to have that second physical big body that we could play and that could guard a little bit further away from the rim. But we had excellent rim protection in Jake Cherry, and that's something that Trace Jackson Davis provides for Indiana. So you still got to have that guy or those couple of guys who can protect the rim, or else you're going to have situations where it doesn't have to be 7'4" kid who's immobile. It doesn't have to be a kid like that. There's ways to compensate for it, because obviously Trace Jackson Davis at 6'9" is an outstanding rim protector. But you do have to have those guys, and there's no way around it. And we talked earlier about Isaiah Miranda, and thanks to Caleb for throwing that name out there, getting that name for us. He's got 21 offers. 19 of them are high majors. His first 2 were mid majors. Everything else has been high major guys, high major programs, and he's a fantastic rim protector. You need that guy. Hell, you need 2 of them probably. So that's the one trapping of getting this, switchable. Everybody can play all different positions, but you still got to make sure you have guys who can protect the rim, because at some point people are just going to get buy-in and drive you without any fear whatsoever.
Let's see. I know that visits coming in this week. We talked about Jamie Kaiser, Arrington Page, Deshaun Harris-Smith. All 3 of those guys are really important, but Deshaun Harris-Smith is one that he's a shooter, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say, and he doesn't have a ton of big time offers yet. Indiana's getting in on him early. He's 23, right?
Yeah. They have
a good shot at. I mean, he's probably one they have a really good shot at.
Yeah, he's kind of a under the radar, like as far as like having a shot with him. No, he had a really good summer. Really had some breakout performances in the live periods when those happened. Like you just said, Indiana hopped on him. They see a lot of things in him, and it goes back to that playmaking ability. He's extremely versatile. I watched him a couple games a couple weeks ago, and was really impressed by how balanced he is on the offense. He not only can play in the wing and stuff, but he works well off of screens, and he scores pretty well in the paint. Like there were times where he would play his back to the basket and stuff like that. He's a very interesting player that provides a lot of options, especially if you want to go small ball. He's very interesting, and it's going to be curious to see how they do on his visit and stuff. I think once they get him on there, their chances of getting him will be even greater.
So now what happens? The coaches are back. You've got all these visits, big time visits this week, where Indiana's got to roll out the red carpet, of course. But more importantly, they've got their own team that they've got to work with now, and that has to be the focus. Well, while they've been gone, which has been a lot, you've got Jordan Halls working with the team, and which in that is he allowed in that instance? Is that when he's allowed to actually work with the guys on the floor if those guys are away recruiting?
Yeah, they can work with them. They still do a lot of work with Cliff Marshall.
I know that, but yeah. I'm talking about specific working with. I think everybody knows what I'm talking about. Working with Jordan. That's what I'm talking about.
I think their whole staff can work. Their whole paid staff can work with them.
Not at the same time. Not at the same time. I don't think you could have more than 4 guys. But since those 4 guys were active, were gone. I'm like, does that when that opens up for someone like Jordan Halls or someone else to work with them?
Yes. I think that's exactly what would happen. And, with it just being, AAU's over with, right now it's just all visits that they're going to try to get those players in. And then it just goes back to now they're going to start working with their team like they have been all summer when they're available and stuff. Don't get me wrong there, but now it's more of an intense, continue to build that chemistry and getting ready for, the season.
That's what you can do. And that's what they're going to be doing now is everyone's getting ready for the season.